Imagine buying like a highly engineered, hurricane-resistant fortress, right?
Okay.
And it's located just steps away from a heated resort pool in coastal Florida.
Sounds pretty incredible.
Right. But here's the kicker. It's all for the price of like a mid-size SUV,
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a total scam.
or or at least, mathematically impossible.
Okay.
But every day, middle-class homebuyers are using this exact strategy to completely bypass one of the most brutal real estate markets in the country.
It really is wild.
So welcome to the deep dive. We are thrilled you're joining us today because we are unpacking a really fascinating backdoor entry into the Florida coastal lifestyle.
It is a brilliant workaround,
Yeah.
honestly, and it's born out of absolute necessity because the traditional path to homeownership in these coastal hubs it's functionally broken for the average person.
Oh, totally. We're pulling the curtain back on this using a really compelling piece of research we came across. It's this article titled Affordable Coastal Living, and it was published by a Sarasota-based real estate solutions company called Sell House Fast Cash.
Right.
And they basically outline a trend that completely shatters the old stereotypes of, how to live near the beach.
Yeah, completely flips the script.
But to really appreciate how clever this hack is, you kind of have to understand the brick wall these buyers are running into first.
Right.
So, okay, let's unpack this. The core conflict here is the dream of the Gulf Coast clashing with a completely unhinged economic reality.
Yeah, the appeal of a place like Sarasota, it isn't hard to grasp. You aren't just buying a house. You are buying into this entire ecosystem of leisure and, high culture.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the article paints the picture perfectly. You have the blindingly white quartz sand of Siesta Key.
Which is gorgeous.
Right. It routinely ranks as like one of the best beaches in the world.
Right.
And you've got the weekend strolls through St. Armand Circle, the downtown dining scene, the Ringling Museum.
Yeah, it's this intoxicating mix. It's a sleepy, sun-drenched beach town combined with the cultural amenities of a major metropolitan city.
Exactly.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, that specific combination acts as a massive price accelerant.
Because everyone wants to be there.
Right. Florida as a whole is experiencing an affordability crisis, but Sarasota's unique cultural premium just hyperinflates the local demand. You have wealthy retirees, remote tech workers, international investors,
All fighting for the same house.
all competing for the exact same patch of sand. So the result is a total disconnect between local wages and property values.
And let's put some real numbers to that disconnect because the data they cited from Florida realtors is just grim.
Oh, it's brutal.
The median price for a traditional single-family home in Sarasota routinely blows past the $500,000 mark.
And that's not even for anything fancy.
No, that's for a basic starter home. We aren't talking about a waterfront mansion. We're talking about 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and like maybe a small patch of grass.
Yeah, when you map a $500,000 mortgage at current interest rates onto a median middle-class salary,
Which is what, like,
say a young professional couple, or maybe a teacher and a nurse, making maybe $70,000 or $80,000 a year combined, the math just stops working.
it's completely impossible. It's like trying to join an exclusive country club, The debt-to-income ratio required to carry that mortgage, plus Florida's notoriously high property taxes.
And the insurance.
Oh man, the skyrocketing homeowners insurance. It basically requires a massive trust fund.
It really does.
And you can't just wait it out in a rental while you save up your pennies either.
Right, because the rents are just as bad.
Exactly. The article lays out the rental reality in the area. You're looking at around $2,500 a month just to rent a cramped, outdated apartment near the US 41 highway.
Which is crazy.
That is $30,000 a year in after-tax income just vanishing into the ether. You can never outsave the appreciation of the housing market when you are bleeding that much cash on rent.
Yeah, it creates this awful financial treadmill. The middle class is effectively locked out of the traditional market. They're just staring at a velvet rope they can never unhook.
That's a great way to put it.
Which forces a choice, right? You either abandon the dream of coastal living entirely, or you get creative.
And getting creative means stopping the chase for the traditional 4-bedroom stucco trap and, well, looking for the back door.
Exactly.
Enter the manufactured miracle, the modern mobile home. Now, right off the bat, if you hear mobile home and immediately picture like a rusty tin can sitting on cinder blocks in a dirt lot, you need to completely wipe that image from your mind.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The modern manufactured home industry has undergone a massive evolution.
In what way, specifically?
Well, both in terms of construction quality and community integration. The article positions these homes not as a desperate last resort, but as a highly strategic, calculated entry point into the real estate game.
And the financial contrast is where you really see the strategy pay off. We just talked about traditional homes starting at $500,000, right?
Right. Okay.
Well, if you look at the current listings inside these prime Sarasota parks, a beautifully renovated, modern manufactured home usually sits between $120,000 and $220,000.
That is a staggering difference. You are slashing the barrier to entry by more than half, sometimes down to a quarter of the cost of a site-built home.
It's amazing. But, okay, I'm looking at these numbers, and I feel like we are ignoring a pretty massive trapdoor here.
The lot rent.
Yeah, you don't usually own the dirt underneath a manufactured home in these communities, right? The article mentions lot rent, which runs between $700 and $1,200 every single month.
It does.
So aren't you just trading a heavy mortgage for perpetual rent? Like, how does that actually leave you with more money in your pocket?
It's the most critical question to ask, honestly.
Yeah.
And it really comes down to comparing the total monthly outflows.
Okay, break that down for me.
Yes, $1,000 a month for lot rent sounds steep on paper.
Yeah.
But consider what that replaces. If you buy a $500,000 traditional home, you aren't just paying the principal and interest.
Right.
You are paying massive county property taxes on $500,000 of assessed value. You are paying a traditional homeowners association fee, which in Florida can easily hit $300 to $500 a month just on its own.
Wow, just for the HOA.
Exactly. And you are paying for all your own exterior maintenance. New roof, lawn care, all of it.
So when you buy the $150,000 manufactured home, your principal loan payment is tiny. And that $1,000 lot rent actually bundles a lot of those other costs together.
Precisely. The article points out that lot rent typically covers your lawn care, your trash removal, your water and sewer, and this is key, the property taxes on the land itself.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, so when you stack the two entire financial profiles next to each other, the total out-of-pocket monthly expense for the manufactured homeowner is just drastically lower.
That makes a ton of sense. And we really need to talk about what else that lot rent gets you, because it's not just a fee for the dirt and the trash pickup.
No, not at all.
The communities highlighted in the text, places like Winds of St. Armand's or Tripar Estates, they are basically private resorts.
They really are. Developers know they have to overcome that old trailer park stigma, so they pack these communities with luxury amenities to attract retirees and young professionals.
They are selling a comprehensive lifestyle package. The physical house is just like one component of a much larger curated environment.
Exactly.
I mean, you're paying for heated Olympic-sized swimming pools. You have meticulously manicured grounds, pickleball courts, massive clubhouses with fitness centers and billiards rooms. It's wild.
Sounds like a vacation.
It does. And because your core housing costs are capped so low, you aren't living house poor. You actually have the disposable income left over to go out and enjoy the Visit Sarasota dining scene or, rent a boat for the weekend.
Right, you're actually living the coastal lifestyle instead of just surviving it. You're not strapped for cash every month.
Exactly.
But that does bring up the mechanical side of the transaction. Because the land isn't yours, the financing works a bit differently. You can't just walk into a giant national bank and ask for a standard 30-year conventional mortgage.
Because the bank can't foreclose on land you don't own if you stop paying, right?
Exactly. Real estate law distinguishes between real property, which is the land and permanent structures attached to it, and personal property, which is movable.
Okay.
A manufactured home on leased land is classified as personal property or chattel. It's categorized closer to a vehicle or a boat than a traditional house.
Oh, interesting. So how do you actually buy the thing if you don't have $150,000 in liquid cash sitting in a checking account?
Well, you utilize what's called a chattel loan.
Yeah.
And the text notes that this is a highly developed financial infrastructure in places like Sarasota. Local credit unions and specialized lenders offer these chattel loans specifically designed for manufactured housing.
Do they have crazy interest rates or something?
The interest rates might be slightly different than a traditional mortgage, sure.
Oh.
But because the principal amount you are borrowing is so small, say you're financing $100,000 instead of $400,000,
Yeah.
the monthly payment remains incredibly manageable.
So the financing hurdle is cleared, the homes are affordable, the communities are like resorts, and you actually have money left over to live your life. Which naturally brings us to the massive, swirling 140-mile-per-hour question mark.
The hurricane question.
Right. If you're listening to this, you are probably thinking, Are we really saying a mobile home is safe when a Category 4 hurricane is barreling toward the coast?
It is the ultimate test of living in Florida. And historically, I mean, the skepticism was entirely justified.
Oh, for sure.
But what's fascinating here is to understand why these modern homes are viable, we have to look at the massive engineering shift that happened in the 1990s. The turning point was Hurricane Andrew in 1992.
Man, that storm was an absolute monster.
It really was.
It practically leveled entire cities in South Florida and peeled the roofs off older mobile homes like they were tin cans.
Yeah, the devastation was so total that it forced the federal government to step in. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, alongside the Manufactured Housing Institute, they didn't just tweak the building codes, they tore them up and started from scratch.
Wow.
They implemented stringent new federal building standards, specifically focusing on wind load engineering.
And the article details exactly what that looks like for a buyer today. Like, any new manufactured home installed in Sarasota County has to adhere to what they call Wind Zone 3 regulations.
Right, which is no joke.
And the Sarasota County government municipal inspectors rigorously enforce this. You can't just, drop a house on a lot and call it a day.
No, not at all. Wind Zone 3 is the highest federal standard designed for the most hurricane-prone coastal areas. And the engineering behind it is actually really fascinating. A hurricane doesn't just push a house sideways.
Right. There's more to it than that.
Yeah, the aerodynamics of high winds actually creates severe negative pressure that tries to suck the roof upward while simultaneously pushing against the walls.
That is terrifying. So to fight that, the article describes these homes as heavily engineered fortresses. They use what's called a continuous load path.
Yes.
It's not just nailing wood together. There are heavy metal straps connecting the reinforced roof trusses directly to the wall framing, and then those walls are strapped directly to the heavy steel chassis of the home.
And then comes the anchoring system. They don't just sit on the ground anymore. Installation teams drive massive, heavy-duty steel helical anchors deep into the soil.
Okay.
The steel chassis of the home is then strapped to those anchors with industrial steel banding. So the uplift forces of a hurricane are literally transferred from the roof, down through the walls, through the chassis, and dispersed deep into the earth.
See, the craziest part to me is the comparison the text makes to traditional site-built homes. Because we have this cultural assumption that a block-built house from the 1950s is indestructible just because it's made of concrete.
Right. People always say, oh, it's concrete block, it'll survive anything.
Exactly. But we forget that the roof on that blockhouse is made of timber that has been baking in the Florida sun for 70 years. And it's usually held together by rusty nails that predate modern wind load testing.
Yeah, it's a false sense of security. An older block home might have strong walls, but if the roof fails, which is unfortunately incredibly common in pre-1992 construction, the interior is entirely destroyed by water and pressure changes.
So it doesn't even matter that the walls are concrete.
Yep. Whereas a modern manufactured home installed under Wind Zone 3 regulations is subjected to rigorous, standardized structural testing that those mid-century homes never underwent.
So as a buyer, you can actually evacuate or hunker down knowing your affordable resort-style home is actually engineered to handle the brutal physics of a tropical storm.
It's incredible peace of mind.
It really is the ultimate real estate hack. But because these homes are effectively resort-style bunkers for a quarter of the price of a traditional house, they've accidentally created a microeconomy of extreme scarcity.
The secret is out. And it has fundamentally changed the velocity of the market.
The article points out a massive catch for anyone trying to pull this off. When a beautifully renovated Wind Zone 3 manufactured unit hits the market in one of these prime Sarasota parks, it vanishes.
Instantly.
You don't have weeks to think about it. It's gone in days, sometimes hours.
And this hyper-competition is where the traditional methods of buying and selling real estate become a massive liability for the average buyer. The traditional model is incredibly slow and fragile.
Right. Think about the average person wanting to move to Florida. Their net worth is tied up in their current house. Maybe a colonial up in Ohio or a fixer-upper in a different part of Florida like Bradenton or something.
Sure.
To buy the manufactured home, they need the cash from their current home. So they list it with a realtor, wait for a buyer, haggle over a leaky roof during inspections, wait for the buyer's bank to approve the loan, and maybe 90 days later, they finally get their money.
Right. And the article describes trying to navigate this 90-day waiting period in the Sarasota manufactured home market as financial suicide.
Financial suicide.
Because you simply cannot attach a 90-day contingency to your offer on a highly desirable mobile home. The seller will just laugh at you.
Why would they wait?
Exactly, because there are three other people behind you holding liquid cash, ready to close tomorrow.
So the traditional real estate bottleneck, the red tape, the banks, the flaky buyers,
Hmm.
it is completely incompatible with a market where inventory vanishes in hours. You have to be a cash buyer to win.
Yeah, you do. Now, it's worth noting who actually wrote this research we are analyzing today.
Oh, right. Let's talk about that.
Sell House Fast Cash isn't an academic think tank observing this from an ivory tower. They are an active business in the real estate space.
Right.
They buy houses directly for cash.
Right. So what does this all mean? Their interest in highlighting this trend is logistical. They are pitching their business model as the specific bridge over that liquidity gap.
Exactly.
They want to be the tool you use to become that unstoppable cash buyer.
And their service is designed to completely bypass the 90-day traditional model. The article states that they provide instant cash offers for homes. They remove the inspections, the appraisals, and the bank approvals from the equation.
Okay, so you essentially trade a small percentage of your home's theoretical maximum market value in exchange for immediate guaranteed liquidity. They hand you the cash, allowing you to instantly liquidate what they refer to as the dead weight property.
And suddenly, you aren't waiting on a bank. You have the capital in hand to swoop into one of these prime Sarasota parks and secure that manufactured home the literal second it hits the MLS.
And their model is built to absorb risk that traditional buyers just won't touch. The text notes they assist homeowners dealing with severe predicaments like properties facing foreclosure, houses tied up in complex probate situations, or, assets that need to be split quickly during a divorce.
Right, they position themselves as a mechanism to quickly free up capital regardless of the property's condition or the homeowner's specific distress.
And they are very direct about their role in this ecosystem. They even provide their company phone number right in the text for anyone needing to offload a property quickly to make this move. It's 941-842-0369.
They're laying it all out there.
Yeah. Their core argument is that in a market moving this fast, liquidity is more valuable than leverage. Stop waiting for the traditional market to accommodate you, get your cash, and make your move before you are priced out of the manufactured homes, too.
It directly addresses the specific friction point, keeping middle-class buyers from executing this strategy. By offering a way to bypass the traditional closing timeline, they're providing the key to unlock that backdoor entry into coastal living.
It really brings the whole journey of this deep dive into focus. When you look at the macro picture, the traditional housing market in coastal Florida has essentially evicted the middle class.
It really has.
The math is just brutal, but the adaptation by everyday buyers is brilliant. They haven't given up on the white sand of Siesta Key or the culture of Sarasota. They've just completely rebranded the mobile home.
Yeah, they've recognized that a highly engineered structure, secured in a vibrant community with resort amenities, offers a drastically better quality of life than stretching your finances to the breaking point for a traditional stucco house. It is a triumph of utility and strategic thinking over outdated cultural stigmas.
You get the Wind Zone 3 hurricane protection, you get the heated pools, and most importantly, you actually retain your disposable income. It completely flips the narrative of what it means to successfully buy a home today.
And that leads to a rather profound implication, something I think is really worth mulling over for everyone listening.
Oh, it's that.
If these heavily engineered, modern manufactured homes, situated in these beautiful, amenity-rich parks, are rapidly becoming the smart, preferred standard for the middle-class starter home, how does that permanently change our cultural definition of what constitutes a real house?
Wow, yeah.
If the safety, the lifestyle, and the financials are all objectively superior, how long until living in a manufactured home park isn't seen as a compromise, but actually becomes the new definition of a prestigious neighborhood in America?
That is an incredible thought to leave on. The definitions of success in the American dream are changing right in front of us, forced by the math and solved by innovation. If you're still waiting in that VIP line, hoping the bouncer changes his mind about your bank account, you might just be missing the back door that leads straight to the pool. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you some valuable perspective, and as always, we encourage you to keep questioning the world around you.